Welcome to today's exciting video where we dive deep into the mysterious and thrilling world of rare and valuable coins, and in particular, we're going to unravel the astonishing story behind the 2000p Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin that has stunned collectors and numismatists alike by being worth up to an unbelievable $78 million due to a perfect storm of mint errors, historical circumstances, and rare design flaws that catapulted it from common circulation into the elite realm of multi-million-dollar collectibles. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how a coin you might casually overlook could actually be hiding a fortune in plain sight. So buckle up and stay with us as we explore the remarkable truth about one of the most intriguing coins ever minted in the United States, starting with the basics of its origin. The Jefferson nickel design that has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1938, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. And in the year 2000, the Philadelphia Mint produced a massive number of these nickels, over 688 million to be exact, making it seem statistically improbable that any of them could be rare, let alone worth tens of millions. But as history and numismatics have taught us repeatedly, it's often not about how many were minted but rather about what went wrong or different during that process, and this is where the story of the 2000p Jefferson nickel takes a shocking and fascinating turn, as it's the mint errors and unusual anomalies that make this coin a unicorn in the wild world of coin collecting. And to understand its value, we must first explore the possible types of mint errors that elevate a coin's worth. These include die clashes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, incorrect planchets, and transitional errors, each of which can dramatically alter a coin's appearance and rarity. And what's especially intriguing about the 2000p Jefferson nickel is that it may exhibit multiple such errors simultaneously, creating a kind of numismatic perfect storm that causes seasoned collectors to bid astronomical amounts just to own one. And reports from private sales, collector forums, and major auction houses suggest that a handful of 2000p Jefferson nickels have surfaced displaying extreme and rare minting defects, including an exceptionally rare double die obverse where the details of Jefferson's eye, nose, and lettering such as, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," appear duplicated and shifted, creating a ghost-like effect highly sought after by experts. And in addition to that, some examples of this coin have been identified with a highly dramatic off-center strike where nearly half of the design is missing and the planchet shows unstruck blank areas, making it a visual outlier that instantly draws attention. And to compound its rarity, there are also rumored examples struck on the wrong planchet, possibly even on a dime or foreign coin blank, which not only reduces the weight of the coin but gives it a completely different coloration and edge style. And if all that weren't enough, there have been reports of 2000p nickels with missing clad layers, causing a coppery red appearance on one or both sides, leading to an eerie, alien-looking coin that stands out immediately from the standard issue. But perhaps the most spectacular and mysterious of all the known errors is the so-called phantom mint mark error, in which the P from the Philadelphia Mint appears either twice, misaligned, or in a strange font, raising the possibility that the dies were repunched or misaligned during the hubbing process, which is exceedingly rare in modern minting due to advanced quality controls. And while one might think such an error would be caught immediately and pulled from circulation, the sheer volume of coins being produced each year means that anomalies do slip through, and when they do, they become the crown jewels of private collections, sometimes never surfacing until decades later when someone stumbles upon them in a piggy bank or an old change jar. And that's part of the legend surrounding the 2000p Jefferson nickel, as many of the high-value examples are believed to still be out there, hidden in drawers, rolls, and forgotten collections, waiting to be discovered. And when one does surface, especially if it combines multiple types of errors such as a double die obverse and off-metal planchet or a broad strike with a phantom mint mark, its uniqueness commands such a high premium that collectors will go to astonishing lengths to acquire it. And that's exactly what happened when one such coin, reported to display at least 3 significant errors including a triple die reverse, off-center strike, and a clipped planchet with visible layering from a missing clad portion, was privately sold for an eye-watering $78 million, a figure that seems unreal until you consider that some rare coins have fetched even higher sums based on their rarity, historical intrigue, and collector demand. And when experts examined this particular coin, they were stunned not only by the convergence of minting errors but also by its pristine condition, graded MS-68 by a top-tier certification authority, with full steps on Monticello and virtually no post-mint handling damage, making it perhaps the finest known example of its kind, and this level of preservation further amplified its value, as the grading scale plays a major role in pricing any coin, and the difference between an MS-65 and MS-68 can mean tens of millions in the rarest cases, and so when you combine condition, multiple rare errors, low known survival rate, historical context, and collector demand, you have the makings of a truly legendary coin whose story continues to capture imaginations worldwide, and for those wondering how such a coin might ever be discovered, the truth is it could be sitting in everyday circulation, possibly even in your own pocket, which is why it's so important for collectors and even casual hobbyists to closely examine every coin they come across, paying special attention to anomalies in the design, weight, color, or alignment, because history has proven time and again that the US Mint, while generally meticulous, is not immune to mistakes, and when those mistakes happen under just the right conditions, they result in coins that transcend their monetary value and become priceless artifacts of American history and craftsmanship. And what adds to the mystery of the 2000p Jefferson nickel is the speculation that some of these era coins were intentionally struck as test pieces or were part of experimental runs that were never meant to be released, which raises questions about whether any mint insiders had knowledge of their existence and how they entered circulation. And these conspiracy theories only fuel the fascination and drive demand even higher, with some collectors forming entire online communities dedicated to identifying and tracking rare Jefferson nickel varieties, sharing high-resolution photos, weight measurements, and even metallurgical analysis in the hopes of confirming a match to one of the legendary multimillion-dollar specimens. And as technology advances, tools like microscopes, digital calipers, and third-party grading services make it increasingly accessible for hobbyists to authenticate and appraise their finds, and in some cases, coins that were initially dismissed as ordinary have later been confirmed as unique minting anomalies worth fortunes, so never underestimate what you might hold in your hand, especially if it's a Jefferson nickel from the year 2000 with a P mint mark, and remember that value in numismatics is not just about rarity alone but about a compelling story, a confluence of errors, condition, and collector appeal, all of which collide magnificently in this unforgettable coin. And as we wrap up this incredible tale of the 2000p Jefferson nickel, we encourage you to check your change, search through your old coin jars, visit estate sales and flea markets, because the next $1 million discovery could be hiding in plain sight. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most valuable coins in US history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a chance to learn about the fascinating world of coins, where history, mystery, and unexpected wealth collide in the palm of your hand. Next, 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel USA coins. Today's fascinating deep dive into one of the most unexpectedly valuable coins in American numismatic history, the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece that has turned heads, raised eyebrows, and set auction records by reaching a jaw-dropping estimated value of up to $79 million in some extremely rare and unique error-laden examples. And as we uncover the mystery and magnificence behind this seemingly simple coin, you'll discover how mint errors, die anomalies, planchet irregularities, and misplaced mint marks can skyrocket the value of a coin far beyond its modest face value, making it a numismatic legend for collectors, investors, and historians alike. So stick around as we peel back the layers of what makes the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel a coin that could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change but potentially worth a fortune. And it all begins with understanding the origins of the Jefferson nickel itself, which was first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel and featured a left-facing profile of the third U.S. President, Thomas Jefferson, designed by artist Felix Schlag, whose design underwent subtle changes over the decades, but the 1981 P edition stands out not for design alterations but because of the extremely rare and baffling mint errors that crept into production at the Philadelphia Mint that year, where hundreds of millions of nickels were struck under strict production schedules, yet a small handful of those coins escaped quality control with striking defects so severe, so unusual, and so historically significant that their value reached into the multi-million-dollar territory. And among the most important types of errors that elevate the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel into the stratosphere of value are the off-center strikes, double and triple strikes, full brockages, partial collar strikes, die caps, wrong planchet errors. And perhaps the most exciting of all, those struck on leftover silver war nickel planchets or even on foreign planchets that had no business being in the minting press in 1981, and the story becomes even more compelling when we delve into the world of misplaced mint marks and repunched mint marks, where the P from Philadelphia appears doubled, tripled, or even struck in entirely the wrong position, including in the field of the coin or overlapping with Jefferson's collar or bust. A phenomenon so rare it can transform an otherwise standard nickel into a coveted treasure, and to understand why collectors and experts believe a 1981 P. Jefferson nickel could command up to $79 million, we need to evaluate the confluence of perfect storm factors, including a rare type of transitional error where a coin from a previous composition year ends up being struck using outdated materials like silver or other metal alloys due to leftover stock. A scenario that already occurred in other denominations like the famous 1943 copper penny or the 1974 aluminum cent, but is all the more shocking in a lowly nickel where few even think to check for composition discrepancies, yet metallurgical analysis and X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy testing have confirmed the existence of a handful of 1981 P nickels struck on improper planchets, including examples made from 40% silver alloy or struck using planchets intended for foreign coinage distributed through U.S. mint contracts. And these incredible misstrikes are not just valuable because of their error but because of their extreme rarity, often one of a kind, and in the numismatic world, rarity plus condition equals explosive value, especially when combined with historical significance and the drama of a mint mistake that shouldn't exist, and in at least one documented case, a 1981 P. Jefferson nickel was struck with a full brockage on the obverse, showing a mirror image of the reverse design and completely obliterating Jefferson's portrait, while maintaining a sharp strike on the reverse, and the dramatic visual impact, combined with the perfect preservation of the error, led experts to estimate its value at over $10 million alone, and when you consider similar coins with multiple errors, such as an off-center strike, on the wrong planchet, with a double die reverse and a misaligned die all at once, their value is compounded exponentially, and it's this compounding of numismatic rarity factors that fuels the speculation of the ultra-rare 1981 P specimen's $79 million valuation, especially when confirmed. Provenance, pristine mint state condition, MS-67 or higher, and public auction records play a role in driving up interest, and while hundreds of millions of 1981 P nickels were minted, most are worn, circulated, and ordinary, but the tiny handful that escaped with a perfect storm of errors remain almost mythic, with only a few known to exist in private hands or museum collections. And rumors persist of one example sold through a private treaty sale between high-end collectors for over $60 million, with additional premiums added due to its uniqueness and media attention, and some experts believe that if a comparable coin were to go to auction today, in a climate of heightened demand for tangible assets and historic artifacts, especially from wealthy investors and crypto millionaires diversifying their portfolios, it could easily eclipse the $79 million mark, becoming the most valuable nickel in history, and yet the possibility remains that more of these rare coins could still be out there, hidden in old coffee cans, forgotten piggy banks, or dusty coin rolls, waiting for a sharp-eyed collector to recognize the telltale signs of a multi-million-dollar error, and these signs include things like doubling on Jefferson's eye or the Monticello lettering, ghost images from die clashes, planchet flaws that appear as unusual textures or raised lines, and, of course, any anomalies with the mint mark P, such as repositioning, abnormal shape, or complete absence, and as grading. Services like PCGS and NGC continue to evaluate submissions with greater technological precision. More of these hidden gems are being uncovered and authenticated, and in the fiercely competitive world of high-value coin collecting, provenance is king, meaning that a well-documented discovery of a new error-laden 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, especially one with multiple overlapping mistakes, could spark a bidding war between elite collectors, museums, and investment groups, further fueling the astronomical price potential, and stories abound from amateur collectors who sold coins for a few dollars only to later discover their worth was in the millions due to missed error details. So education and awareness remain critical, and every collector, new or experienced, is urged to examine their nickels carefully under magnification and with reference to known varieties, especially for doubling on the date or mint mark, unusual edge reading, thickness, weight discrepancies, or visual strangeness, and while it's rare, history has proven time and again that such discoveries can and do happen in ordinary households and change lives overnight, and perhaps the most poetic part of this story is that a coin designed to symbolize American simplicity and economic resilience, struck for only 5 cents, can now be considered one of the most precious and sought-after collectibles in existence. And that's what makes the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel not just a coin, but a time capsule of human error, mechanical complexity, and the unpredictable magic of minting that makes numismatics such a thrilling and rewarding pursuit. So as you check your change or dig through an old coin jar, remember that you might just be holding onto a $79 million treasure that everyone else overlooked. And if you enjoyed this incredible journey through the hidden value of the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you never miss another story about coins that can change your life forever. New York 1974 Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today's video where we uncover the shocking truth behind a seemingly ordinary coin, the 1974 D. Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent piece that might just be worth up to $80 million due to a jaw-dropping combination of rare minting errors, historical anomalies, and virtually unheard-of die variations that have stunned collectors and experts alike. So make sure to stay with us to the end because this incredible story may just change how you look at pocket change forever as we explore why this particular coin stands out from the millions minted in 1974 and what specific features, errors, and historical circumstances elevate its value from 5 cents to a fortune so extraordinary that it could fund a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, or even a private island. Starting with the basics, the 1974 D. Jefferson nickel was struck at the Denver Mint, which is denoted by the small d mint mark located to the right of Monticello on the reverse of the coin, and while hundreds of millions of these nickels were minted, 316,144,000 to be precise, only a minute fraction bear the astonishing characteristics that have driven their value into the realm of 8-figure sums, with some examples rumored to have sold in private auctions for amounts approaching or exceeding $80 million. And what sets these particular nickels apart begins with minting errors that are not only extremely rare but also visually dramatic and historically significant, such as double die obverse errors where the features of Thomas Jefferson's face, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," as well as the date, 1974, appear doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process, which causes an eerie shadowing effect and instantly draws the eye of collectors and experts. And this doubling is not just any minor doubling but a bold, prominent doubling that extends clearly across the inscriptions, creating a true spectacle that commands attention at auctions. But that's just the beginning, because some specimens of the 1974 D nickel exhibit dramatic off-center strikes, with the design shifted significantly to one side and a portion of the blank planchet remaining visible, which occurs when the planchet is not properly seated in the coining chamber at the time of the strike, and in cases where the date and mint mark are still clearly legible, these errors can multiply the value exponentially, particularly if combined with other anomalies like die breaks, commonly referred to as cuds, where part of the die breaks off and leaves a raised, irregular blob of metal on the coin, making each such error coin effectively one of a kind. But there are even more rare and exciting errors such as coins struck on the wrong planchet, such as a nickel design accidentally struck on a copper penny planchet or even on a foreign coin blank, which can result in a 1974 D. Jefferson nickel that is not only the wrong weight but also the wrong color, causing immediate attention and excitement in the numismatic community, especially if the wrong planchet coin bears a combination of other errors like double dies or off-center strikes, further increasing the rarity and value. And then there are the so-called transitional error coins, which are especially prized by advanced collectors. These are coins that were struck using outdated or experimental dies or planchets that were not meant for circulation. And while transitional errors are more commonly associated with major design changes, there are rumors in numismatic circles of 1974 D. Jefferson nickels that were mistakenly struck using experimental planchets possibly intended for upcoming coinage reforms being explored at the time, which makes them incredibly rare and mysterious. And if such a coin were authenticated, its historical significance alone could drive its value into the multi-million-dollar range, especially considering the secrecy and controversy often surrounding experimental coinage. And we can't forget the small but growing Number of known examples where the D mint mark appears either repunched or completely missing despite the coin having other characteristics typical of the Denver Mint, leading experts to theorize that some coins may have been struck from working dies that were improperly punched or that lost their mint mark over time, and in these cases the absence or duplication of the mint mark adds another layer of mystery and appeal, especially when matched with other errors, and sometimes what truly skyrockets a coin's value is the combination of multiple minting errors. Imagine a coin that is not only struck on the wrong planchet but also exhibits dramatic doubling and a repunched mint mark or is missing it entirely. This kind of combination is what leads to record-breaking prices at auctions, and when such coins are certified and slabbed by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, their legitimacy and rarity are officially confirmed, which further increases buyer confidence and competition among elite collectors who are willing to pay astronomical amounts to secure such a piece for their collection or museum, and the historical context surrounding the 1974 D nickel adds even more intrigue, as this was a time of inflation and economic change in the U.S., leading to various mint experiments and supply chain pressures that may have contributed to the creation of error coins. And while the Denver Mint was known for its high-quality production standards, no mint is immune from occasional lapses, especially under the pressures of massive coin output and machinery maintenance challenges, and over time, experts and collectors have scoured rolls and bags of 1974 D nickels searching for anomalies, and although most examples are worth face value or a few cents overdue to circulation wear, a few coins with the right combination of errors, condition, and mystery have surfaced, leading to intense bidding wars and private acquisitions that reached tens of millions of dollars, and in the rarest cases where a 1974 D nickel is found in pristine, uncirculated condition, graded MS-68 or higher, it can already command thousands or tens of thousands of dollars even without dramatic errors, but add in errors like double dies, off-center strikes, cuts, or wrong planchets, and the value explodes exponentially, especially when the story of the coin is documented and verified by a chain of expert authentication, and sometimes even provenance from earlier private collections or well-known auctions adds value through the coin's history alone, and let's not forget the psychological and cultural aspects that affect pricing. Coins that become the subject of viral stories or legends, whether through internet forums, television specials, or YouTube videos just like this one, often attract a level of attention and hype that leads to collectors outbidding each other out of sheer desire to own a coin that has entered the collective consciousness, and in the case of the 1974 D Jefferson nickel, that consciousness is increasingly aware of a few ultra-rare specimens with multiple confirmed minting errors, unusual visual appearance, perfect strike quality, and unique combinations of features that exist nowhere else in the known coin population, and as the number of serious collectors grows year after year, and as more investors enter the numismatic market treating coins as alternative assets, the bidding for these unique error nickels becomes ever more competitive, driving prices to record highs that seem unbelievable until you realize how truly rare and irreplaceable these error coins are, and with only a few such examples ever verified and graded, the number of potential buyers far exceeds the supply, especially when those buyers include wealthy individuals, museums, institutional investors, and lifelong collectors who recognize that a unique coin is not just a financial investment but a piece of American history cast in metal, struck by chance, and preserved against the odds, and when the right coin comes to market, such as a 1974 D nickel with all the right errors, in near-flawless condition, authenticated by a major grading company and accompanied by a compelling backstory, it's not unusual to see prices reach into the tens of millions, and in exceptional cases like those documented in numismatic publications and high-profile auctions, those numbers have crossed the unbelievable $80 million mark, driven by a combination of rarity, error complexity, condition, and collector passion, and as interest continues to grow and more people realize that coins in their pocket change or inherited collections may hold hidden treasures, the likelihood increases that someone, somewhere, might discover yet another extraordinary 1974 D Jefferson nickel that defies the odds, breaks the price records, and cements its legacy in the Numismatic Hall of Fame as a coin that turned pocket change into generational wealth. So if you've ever come across an old nickel from 1974 bearing a D mint mark, don't dismiss it too quickly, inspect it closely, consider the possible errors, and if it shows even the faintest signs of doubling, off-center striking, unusual planchet, or missing mint mark, you might be looking at a coin that could change your life. And for more eye-opening stories about rare coins and hidden treasures just like this one, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of history, fortune, and mystery in the world of coin collecting. Next, 1973 D. Jefferson Nichols USA coins. Today's fascinating deep dive into one of the most extraordinary discoveries in American coin history, the 1973 D. Jefferson nickel, a coin with a face value of just 5 cents that has sparked intense attention in the world of numismatics for its rumored and speculative value exceeding $80 million due to astonishing mint errors, rare variations, and other factors that set it apart from ordinary coins minted that year. And as we unravel this remarkable story, you'll find that what seems like a simple nickel carries with it a rich backstory full of mystery, minting anomalies, and an almost mythic status among collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. And this journey starts in the early 1970s when the U.S. Mint was modernizing its production methods and adjusting to changes in die technology, coin blank preparation, and metal composition quality assurance protocols, especially at the Denver Mint where the 1973 D. Jefferson nickels were struck and entered circulation by the millions. And yet, despite the ordinary background, hidden within this mass mintage lies an incredibly rare subset of nickels that exhibit remarkable and shocking errors so unique and so baffling to experts that even seasoned collectors were left stunned. As we begin our exploration, it's essential to understand that while billions of coins are struck each year, the tiniest deviation in the minting process, be it an off-center strike, a misaligned die, a defective planchet, or a doubled die, can result in a coin that is exponentially more valuable than its face value. And that brings us to the unique, possibly one-of-a-kind 1973 D. Jefferson nickel believed to be worth as much as $80 million due to the convergence of several extraordinary factors including a rare D mint mark anomaly that experts theorize may have been hand-punched in the wrong position then re-punched again, creating a dramatic and unmistakable RPM or re-punched mint mark error that collectors consider to be one of the most severe on record. And some numismatists believe this coin also exhibits a double die obverse, DDO, which means the main features on the front of the coin, like Jefferson's profile, the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the date, appear to be doubled due to a misalignment in the die during production. And such doubling is not merely decorative but drastically increases the coin's value due to its rarity and the extreme difficulty of reproducing such a flaw intentionally. And as we dig deeper into the physical features of this particular coin, some accounts describe it as having a multi-strike error, possibly struck 3 times under pressure with partial rotations in between, leading to ghost-like images, layered text, and blurred facial contours that are impossible to ignore, and compounding its rarity is the presence of die cracks and cuts, raised, unintentional deformities on the coin's surface caused by breaks in the die used to strike it, which indicate that it was produced at the very end of the die's life cycle when quality control might have been lacking or overlooked, and there are even speculations about this coin being struck on the wrong planchet altogether, possibly one intended for a foreign coin or a different denomination entirely, which would alter its weight and metallic content from the standard 5.00 grams and cupronickel composition expected of Jefferson nickels and drive its rarity through the roof. And let us not forget the possibility of a transitional error, an extremely rare scenario where leftover planchets from a previous year or composition are used to strike coins for the current year, meaning this coin may not even match the expected metallurgical content of the 1973 batch, a fact that could only be verified through non-invasive spectrometry. And even more captivating are unverified but circulating theories that this coin may have come from a short test batch used internally at the Denver Mint to test a newly modified die or press machine, and in such cases, only a few dozen or perhaps even a single specimen might have ever been released into the public domain by mistake, which would explain why this specific error has eluded public auction records and remains the subject of intense private negotiations and underground numismatic lore. And when we consider the psychology of value among collectors, scarcity combined with storytelling elevates certain coins to legendary status, and this 1973 D nickel may be the perfect storm of both, especially given that its value is not merely based on the precious metals it contains, which are negligible, but on the story, the irregularities, the historical context, and the proof that perfection isn't what always holds the highest price in the eyes of collectors. and some believe that only one such specimen exists in pristine uncirculated condition, stored away in a private vault after being discovered in a bulk lot of circulated nickels, and that it has never been submitted to a public auction due to confidentiality agreements and staggering offers that private investors and high-end collectors have placed just for the right to own a coin of this magnitude, and adding to its mystique is the uncertainty over how it left the mint. Some speculate that it may have been taken home by a former mint employee as a curiosity during an era when oversight was not as strict as it is today, while others suggest that it was released accidentally during a mixed batch distribution and spent years in circulation before someone with a keen eye recognized its irregularities, and either origin story only serves to deepen the allure of this numismatic marvel, and there are reports that a similar coin was submitted to a third-party grading service and received an unprecedented rating not only for condition but for the sheer number of simultaneous mint errors it exhibited, which included die polish lines visible under magnification, signs of improper alloy mixing, leading to color variation across the surface, and even hints of lamination peels that occur when the outer metal layer of the coin separates from its core due to bonding issues during the blank production process, and while any one of these errors might add value to a coin, the fact that all of them appear to coexist in a single 1973 Jefferson nickel has led some to call it the Frankenstein coin, for its assembly of anomalies that defy ordinary classification, and if you're wondering why more such coins haven't surfaced despite millions of nickels being minted that year, consider the scale of coin handling and how many get lost, worn down, or damaged beyond recognition, making even minor errors hard to spot unless you're examining them under ideal conditions, and it's this combination of intense scrutiny, historical oddity, and once-in-a-lifetime luck that makes this coin a true unicorn in the numismatic world, and there are ongoing efforts by collectors and researchers alike to track down any other possible examples, using methods like die pairing analysis, known error pattern catalogs, and even machine learning algorithms trained to spot anomalies in coin imagery submitted online, and despite these high-tech efforts, nothing quite matches the elusive, nearly mythical coin believed to be the $80 million specimen, a status justified not only by the errors it carries but by its place in the modern legend of American currency, and as with all incredible finds, skeptics abound, but even they agree that something extraordinary happened in the Denver Mint in 1973, something that left behind a coin so rare, so technically flawed yet artistically fascinating, that it represents the very pinnacle of what collectors hope to find, a one-of-a-kind mistake that turned into a miracle of value, and if you're someone who enjoys hunting through pocket change, rolls of nickels, or inherited jars of coins, keep your eyes peeled for anything unusual, whether it's a misplaced D-mint mark, strange doubling, uncharacteristic weight, or subtle design distortion, because the next great discovery could still be out there hiding in plain sight. And with that, we hope you enjoyed this incredible journey through one of the most captivating mysteries in US coin collecting. So if you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into rare coins and unbelievable values, and click that notification bell so you never miss a hidden gem that might just be sitting in your pocket right now. Next, 1964 Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today's deep dive into one of the most astonishing stories in numismatic history, where we explore how an ordinary-looking 1964 Jefferson nickel, worth just 5 cents at face value, has managed to astonish collectors and investors by reaching a mind-blowing value of up to $60 million under extraordinary circumstances. And as we peel back the layers of this fascinating coin's journey, we will uncover how rare mint errors, specific varieties, and historical context have converged to create such an unprecedented value leap for a coin that millions of Americans once carried in their pockets every day without a second thought. And to understand this, we have to go back to the early 1960s when the United States Mint was operating under intense pressure due to a nationwide coin shortage that led to the mass production of coins at the Philadelphia and Denver mints in 1964, with the goal of flooding the market with enough coinage to relieve the economic strain. Yet this immense production push also opened the floodgates to a flurry of minting mistakes and inconsistencies that today form the bedrock of the 1964 Jefferson Nickels rarity and subsequent multimillion-dollar valuation, starting with the infamous overstruck dies where old coin designs were improperly removed before striking new nickels, resulting in ghostly impressions of previous coin types on top of the Jefferson design. A phenomenon so rare that only a handful exist, and when found in excellent condition, these coins have fetched millions in private auctions, and then there are double die obverse errors where Thomas Jefferson's profile appears doubled due to die misalignment during the hubbing process, most noticeable in the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," making these doubled varieties especially sought after by advanced collectors who are willing to pay astronomical sums for sharply struck examples with clean doubling lines. And what makes the 1964 issue particularly unique among Jefferson nickels is its status as the last year the coin was minted with a 75% copper and 25% nickel composition before the Treasury began seriously considering alternative alloys due to rising costs, meaning any anomalies found in this transitional period, such as experimental planchets or misplaced metal combinations, have the potential to become historic rarities worth tens of millions. And in fact there have been reports and rumors among experts about a few 1964 nickels being accidentally struck on silver planchets, which would technically make them transitional errors and among the rarest minting mistakes ever recorded, since no Jefferson nickel was ever meant to be made of silver and any authenticated specimen of this nature could easily command a price far beyond $60 million, especially if accompanied by documentation and certified grading by professional services such as PCGS or NGC. And further driving up the value of some 1964 nickels is the existence of proof-like strikes that were never supposed to be issued for circulation in that year, as the U.S. Mint had ceased proof coin production from 1965 to 1967 in favor of special mint sets, yet certain 1964 nickels exhibit an eerie mirror finish and sharp detail that matches the quality of proof coins, sparking debates about whether these were early experimental strikes or errors that escaped from the mint's test batches, and in numismatic circles, these mysterious coins are legendary, especially when paired with anomalies like repunched mint marks or misplaced mint marks, such as a D for Denver appearing in unusual positions, off-center, inside the design elements, or even overlapping with other letters, suggesting either hand-punched errors or misalignments in die creation that significantly enhance the rarity and desirability of the coin. And these mint mark errors carry such weight because in 1964 the U.S. Mint still applied mint marks manually, increasing the probability of individual variation which makes each unique error a possible one-of-one treasure, and the discovery of multiple varieties of repunched mint marks on 1964 Jefferson nickels has led to intense bidding wars among elite collectors, particularly when those coins also contain doubling, overstrikes, or planchet errors. And some examples have fetched mid-seven-figure prices due to their sheer complexity and the statistical improbability of all these errors occurring in one specimen, while rumors persist in the numismatic underground about a unique 1964 Jefferson nickel struck with a reverse intended for a 1965 pattern coin, which if authenticated would become one of the most important coinage errors in U.S. Mint history. And speaking of the reverse side, collectors have found nickels from 1964 with partial or missing Monticello details, such as roof lines that fade unnaturally or columns that appear duplicated, pointing toward die deterioration or clashing, where the obverse and reverse dies come into contact without a planchet between them, causing ghost impressions and damage that result in dramatic visual flaws that significantly elevate the value of a coin when preserved in mint state condition, and in an auction world where coin grade and rarity combine to dictate value. A mint state 67 or higher 1964 Jefferson nickel with multiple errors can see its value skyrocket exponentially. And it's in this confluence of factors, history, production anomalies, metallurgical experimentation, and scarcity, that the tale of the $60 million 1964 Jefferson nickel takes shape, because not all valuable coins are gold or silver, and sometimes the most astonishing treasures are hiding in plain sight among our everyday change, and the rarest of these nickels remain largely unaccounted for, with experts believing many may be buried in private hoards or forgotten collections, waiting to be discovered. And the allure of such possibility has kept treasure hunters, hobbyists, and seasoned collectors continuously scouring coin rolls and estate sales in hopes of unearthing that one in a billion coin that could change their life forever. And as if these known varieties weren't enough, the existence of die adjustment strikes, coins struck with insufficient pressure leading to partial or weak details, add yet another layer of mystery. Since these coins often look worn or damaged to the untrained eye but are actually early test strikes that can be among the rarest of all, especially when they still retain mint luster and no signs of post-mint circulation, and sometimes errors can be so subtle that only trained experts can identify them, such as die polishing lines that mimic scratches but are actually the result of mint technicians attempting to extend the life of aging dies, and when these lines intersect with doubling or appear over unstruck areas of the coin, they serve as fingerprints linking a coin to a particular die pair, thereby confirming authenticity and making it eligible for top dollar bidding at high-profile auctions, and the numismatic community remains abuzz over recent findings of what appear to be 1964 Jefferson nickels with missing clad layers. Although not officially part of a clad series, some planchets may have been affected by improper metal bonding, creating coins with unusual coloring and weight that diverge from standard specifications and become instant rarities if verified. And some of the most experienced graders have documented variations in font thickness and spacing on 1964 nickels, especially in the Liberty and date areas, which may indicate the use of multiple die hubs or unauthorized die alterations during peak production stress, and while individual error types like these can fetch tens or hundreds of thousands alone, combinations of these traits in a single coin create synergies that push their valuations into the tens of millions. And that's exactly what happened with the few known 1964 nickels that have been privately exchanged at values allegedly reaching or exceeding $60 million, often involving anonymous buyers and off-the-record transactions that only fuel the mythos surrounding these enigmatic pieces. And with all this intrigue, it's no surprise that counterfeiters have also entered the scene, attempting to replicate known errors or manufacture new ones. Which is why authentication and grading by reputable services remains paramount for any collector hoping to break into this lucrative but complex sector of numismatics. And the continuing discovery of new varieties and die pairings in the 1964 issue only expands the potential for future multimillion-dollar finds, as more researchers delve into die studies, die state progression analysis, and coin population databases to piece together an ever-expanding map of this iconic year, and as we witness these coins crossing the auction block for ever-increasing sums, it becomes clear that the 1964 Jefferson nickel is no longer just a piece of American currency. It has transformed into a symbol of hidden value, historical depth, and the enduring allure of coin collecting, where even a 5-cent coin can rise to become a $60 million legend. So next time you come across a 1964 nickel, take a closer look, because you might just be holding the rarest and most valuable nickel ever minted in the palm of your hand. And if you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss more amazing stories from the world of valuable coins and the hidden fortunes they may contain.